And we are live, everybody.
Hey.
All right.
So, Rook, do you have anything prepared?
Oh, yes. Last week, our magnificent bastards moved fast to save a teenager in Rick's penthouse from what they later learned is a blue-skinned Romanian vampire, Strigoi. Rick talked his way past the police line and even scored an unwanted escort. Cecil parkoured his way up a neighboring hotel to go in the helipad entrance. Nathan set up on a nearby rooftop to provide overwatch with his fold-up suppressed high-caliber rifle. Nora kept eyes on the situation with a camera drone, and Victor pulled some old money strings from afar to enable Vanessa to walk in on her own. After a brief but intense fight, the Strigoi disappeared and the teenager was safe, though traumatized. Then the team got to work taking care of her and researching the opponent. Through contacts and research, the team finds out that this strange vampire is targeting a specific family from Romania, as well as discovering some of his weaknesses, and that he makes use of the sewers for shelter and unobserved transportation. Nathan, at great personal risk, went and talked to the local bloodsucker scene alone, and traded information about Ashwood Abbey's special hunt to discover that the Blue Beast isn't a local and that they won't be offended if the hunters put him down. That afternoon, Nathan's daughter Chloe gave him a call and said she thinks she's being watched. Driving very illegally, Cecil took Rick and Nathan to Nathan's house to protect Chloe, arriving just in time to watch Nathan's friend dying to the Strigoi outside the house. Rick and Nathan rushed into the house after him while Cecil climbed up to the second floor in the hope that he can reach Nathan's daughter before the monster does.
And that is not where we're going to pick up. We're actually going to pick up with Victor. Victor, it has been a day. You have been researching at the behest of the other members, trying to figure out the lovely vampire's whereabouts, weaknesses, and whatnot. However, this was at your family's manor, so you are not privy to the ongoing situation with Nathan's daughter. As such, what exactly is Victor going to do after having sent over the last bit of information?
Well, I suppose now that that matter is out of the way, Victor will try and get back to what he was originally trying to do. Getting back to the matter of the Black Royale itself, and seeing what strings he can pull, and see if he can find a bit more information either about this event, the warning that his father had given him, or about our competition in this event. Maybe pull a little of that social capital he got from carousing at the formal event. See if that gets him anywhere.
Alright, so this is going to be an extended action, and I don't expect you to make every single roll this session. This is going to take an exceedingly large amount of time to research, as this is a pretty deep secret. What is your total in intelligence plus investigation?
I don't have anything in investigation, but I do have 3 in intelligence.
Okay, so you definitely do not want to make this an investigation roll, I can tell you
No,
that.
I was hoping to use my skill in politics to see if I can find the right threads to pull.
Okay, what is your combined dice pool there?
For intelligence in politics?
Yes.
6.
So that is a total of 6.
With a specialty in the Ashwood Abbey.
Okay, so that's a total of 7 dice. So you technically have 6 rolls, though, because the specialty does not count for extended actions. So I'm calculating a difficulty here. You can go ahead and make your first roll. on this.
Let's see here. Intelligence and politics. Politics is one of my asset skills, so I'll get 9 again. And let's roll. Five successes.
All right.
Well, I guess that didn't include my specialty. I have one more dice to add to that. Maybe 6. No. 5.
Okay, so obviously you have the 3 options available to you. You can shorten the amount of time between rolls. Right now it is set at 1 day between rolls. You are spending a considerable amount of time discussing matters with other members of the Ashwood Abbey. So it is taking a lot longer than you might expect for you to find this information through these means. You can also reduce the amount of dice required by another amount, or you can take the exceptional success on the actual results.
I think I'll roll with the exceptional success for now, and I'll bank on that.
Okay. All right, so with his day pretty much being devoured, we're going to go to Vanessa and Nora.
Hello.
Who were designing an outfit for Vanessa to look much more like Elizabeth.
Yeah. Yeah, the original plan was to use me as bait, dressed up as her, but it seems that things have changed. Yeah. I guess here's a question for the others in the group. Would they have told us that they were heading to Cecil's house? Was it
Nathan's house?
Nathan's house. Sorry.
And if you didn't overhear the conversation, then no, they wouldn't have stopped to tell you.
But I think we were all kind of nearby-ish.
Mm-hmm. You were.
Except for Victor.
So
Victor would probably see a message that's like, en route, traffic bad though. Never mind, Cecil found way. Like little things like that, not checking in that Victor doesn't know the context.
So I imagine the group chats just a flurry of texts right now.
None of them from Cecil.
None of them from Cecil.
10 and 2, baby.
Yeah, and I'll be like, when I see this, I'll be like, fuck, they left without me. Yeah, and I guess desperate for that sweet vampire juice, Vanessa will leave to try to join this party before it's too late.
Not alone, you won't. I'll say, and I'll follow her out the door. I feel like I'm still kind of straightening her hair, you know. As
no, your hair's not just right. Come on.
I'm assuming, Nora, you don't leave without your camera, though.
Never.
Okay.
Never. I have a whole backpack full of different kinds of camera and film and laptops and drones and little Hot Wheels with cameras on them.
Excellent. So, how do the two of you attend to get there as the Mercedes has left the building, so to speak?
Is Rick's? I hate this, okay, but is Rick's helicopter still up?
I don't know how to pilot a helicopter.
He has a pilot on call, probably.
Yeah, but you'll have to wait on him to get there.
Yeah.
They don't.
He's not the barista that lives there?
He doesn't live in the helicopter.
He would live nearby, so that even in London traffic, he probably wouldn't make me wait more than 20 or 30 minutes. But Like even if I had to pay for a place, but he wouldn't live in the penthouse. No. The help doesn't live in that building.
It's too expensive for that.
The help.
Once again, Rick has thwarted Nora's attempts.
And then
Bless
he
you, Rick.
complains he hates his guts. It's like every time that I need him, he lets me down, and every time that I don't need him, he imposes his help on me. Like, this is not
But-
acceptable. No, Rick, no.
But Rick's car keys are probably still hanging where they were left, and he does have a car in the deck.
Do you have any points in drive, Vanessa?
I got 1.
And that's better than if. Oh my god.
Could I make a streetwise roll to like figure out if it'd be quicker to take the car or just run them like a madman?
Go ahead and give me that roll, because that is a relatively fair question in London traffic.
I think wits would be appropriate.
Yeah, wits.
2 successes.
With 2 successes, probably on foot might be quicker, unless you were willing to do very illegal acts.
I am not a good driver, so I'm just gonna book it.
What am I gonna do? Like, do I have like a push scooter?
Well, if you want, I'll carry you.
Like, I am not athletic. It would take me 10 minutes to like walk a block. Do you understand?
Vanessa, are you actually going to throw Nora over your shoulder?
If she's gonna delay me by talking, yes, I will pick her up.
I will not resist.
You have the strength performance, don't you?
Not yet.
I'm gonna need a strength check then. Strength plus athletics here.
That's appropriate, yeah. 5 successes. Oh, and 5 dice. Damn.
Wow. Ooh, boy. Exceptional success. For some reason, Nora feels as light as a feather to you, and you're booking it full speed.
Not when my hit's on the line, yeah.
Jeez.
So, with
I picture like poor Elizabeth like walking out of the kitchen with like her burrito finally warmed up and being like, "So guys, there's food in the."
We left her posted or something. Like GTG, bye.
So, with Vanessa and Nora in or out, and Victor turning in some of that social credit to negate a deduction in some dice that he was going to be getting, I feel like it's time to go back to the situation at hand. Cordrin had just put the boot into the front door. I'm not going to make a perception check here, as you hear a not panicked cry. Your daughter knows you well enough, Nathan, I would hope, that in this type of situation, she wouldn't necessarily be super surprised if you had booted down the door with her life on the line like this. However, what you hear first is a startled cry. Like, "Oh my god, Dad!" The next cry you hear, though, is one of stark terror. I'm gonna need a composure check.
Ooh, just straight composure, you say?
Yes.
Oh.
You.
1 success.
Your blood runs cold, but you keep in control of yourself. It is about the time of this second scream that Cecil, you have made it into the upstairs.
It's go fast time. The whole point was that, we didn't know where she was at the beginning, so he was hoping to get to her because maybe she's upstairs quicker, but apparently he's just going to come down from above through the staircase.
Of course. It is at this point, as you get to the bottom of the stairs, you see in one moment her backing away, and then in the next moment you see his hand reach out and grab her by the shoulder. Nathan and Rick, you are still outside at this very moment. This is technically before he grabs her still, for you guys.
Nathan is just charging through the door. He's not waiting for nothing.
Weapon pulled?
Of course, it was already pulled.
Which
Once
weapon
he
again?
rolled out the cart. Oh, well, he had his rifle on him. He has a pistol, but I think a rifle would be better in this situation.
Okay. Rick?
I've already shot him in the heart once, if I remember correctly, as we were getting out of the car when we got here. I got a clean heart shot. So he boots in the door and moves in. If I've got line of sight, if I see him like reaching out for her, I'm gonna try to take a shot at the elbow.
You would not have line of sight since he's inside and you guys were outside of the porch.
Okay, then I'm gonna move in hard and fast.
As you guys get into the doorway, Nathan probably obviously makes the tactical move and moves to the side so Rick can file in. This is a residential door. 2 people are not fitting through it.
Yes, but at the same time, Nathan wants the shortest route to his daughter. He may not sidestep.
Rick would be right on his tail. So if he took the straight line, then Rick would come in, and we've cleared rooms together before.
So, Rick's the one stepping to the side. So, now that everybody's caught up timeline-wise, as everybody steps into the room, in that 1 second, they see him grab her. What is everybody's actions? Snap decision now.
Shoot his arm.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a roll.
What's the view that Cecil has? Like, does Cecil have like a back view on this thing?
Cecil has what would be classified as a side view, while Rick and Nathan have a frontal view. So you're coming down essentially what would be their right, your left.
Okay, so from Cecil's perspective, she's not human shield. He just needs to be exceptionally careful with his shot. So Cecil's going to try and take a shot, but...
Okay,
And
Nathan?
the dice have decided that Nathan is going to try and grab his daughter.
Okay. So, in that second, both Rick and Cecil line up shots and fire. The muzzles flash. Nathan, you're moving forward towards this. Okay. The next second, this creature spins with the daughter in his hands. Now, he is much larger than her, so she's not going to provide human shield. At this point, I need you to roll me your actual attack rolls here. You're still going... You aren't in a position yet to try and grab her. Yet. It'll take 1 more second for you to get there.
That's fair. I get to eat.
All right. So
this feels like an appropriate time to risk a willpower, because this is high stakes.
yeah, I was debating on whether I wanted to risk it with this shot or the next shot. Once he, I don't know.
Cecil's not the best of marksmen, and he's also, also considering the conditions that we have towards this thing with, after the breaking points, the vendetta he's got.
We've got +2 dice to basically anything involving bringing this guy down, right?
True. I forgot about those 2 dice.
Yeah.
All the same.
what's-
Just Cecil's mental space? Like he's gonna risk it on this one.
What is the what's the penalty for called shot on the arm?
2.
2? Okay, so that negates my +2 from that, but then I still get those. So I'll have a dice pool of 6 with 9 again.
All right.
Okay.
What is with the dice tonight? Damn.
Ooh. 6 successes on a pool of 6 because of my 9 again.
Oh my gosh. Well, so if I'm risking a willpower and taking 3 dice and 9 again, plus 2 bonus dice from the conditions, that's 5 bonus dice on this.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 1 damage rating on his pistol. So, all right.
Yeah, my
Only 2, but he still succeeded. And so that's 4 lethal.
It's a heavy pistol that you're using?
No, it's just a regular pistol, but risking willpower, I use 9 again and plus 1 damage rating.
Okay. All right.
I think
It is at this very moment the bullets find their mark. They seem to have injured him, though he's certainly not down. It is right as you get to him that you get the nice up-close image of this.
Ooh, do we get a picture?
No.
Oh.
Okay, let's make sure here.
while he pulls that, risking willpower is once per scene, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
That is not how that works. It did not add in the damage modifier. All right. However, that is when you see this thing dislocate its jaw first, bring its head down, and clamp down on her right shoulder, and you hear bones crack. For those that want to know, the damage modifier is 3.
Oh,
That is 4 lethal damage.
baby girl, no.
You are now to her. Hands on, but obviously. Roll me a 1d2 out of curiosity.
All right.
I'm looking for that 2.
Ah, you get a 1.
Despite blood squirting from the wound, you don't get sprayed with any. However, you do have a very up-close and personal encounter with the inside of your daughter's shoulder and neck region as he rips it out.
Oh no. She needs to go to the hospital now, you guys.
It's a good thing you're a medic.
Yes, immediately. Okay.
And it's at this point that I'm assuming both of you are taking another shot.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And this time, I'm gonna shoot him in the head. And this time, I am gonna risk a willpower because he's close to her. His head and her head now are. I don't like the spacing.
Okay, and I have to see how much willpower he has to spend for his next move. I think it's 4 willpower, but I have to confirm.
Would shooting him in the head actually do anything? Like that's Rick's thought, is like trying to shoot him in the head to knock him loose.
He
that
did not
viable
clamp
thing?
down.
He
took a
bit,
chunk.
bit and.
Yep, he bit and ripped.
Oh, okay. Well then, not the head, just a regular shot then, and not risking willpower.
Cecil's gonna spend a point on this one.
Actually,
It's 3
I'll
willpower that he has to spend.
What's that?
It's 3 willpower that he has to spend for his next move.
I am gonna risk willpower, and I'm gonna do what I did in the last scene, and I'm gonna take another heart shot, because that he seemed to really not enjoy that when I shot him through and through on the heart last time. So that's -3, right?
Yes. All right.
So 5, 6, plus 2, -3. All right, so that'll be 9 again, and I'll take. I've already got 9 again. So if I take that, does that make it 8 again?
I believe
It does?
so, yeah.
Okay. So I'll do 8 again, and +1 to an attack's weapon damage bonus if I hit with it this time. And I will have with the reduced from the heart shot, I'll have 5 dice, I believe.
5 dice with 8 again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Good
Wow.
dice. What?
Man,
Did I just do that twice in a row?
twice in a row.
And so what does that mean for my willpower that I risked?
You gain
get-
it back.
You get it
Okay.
back +1.
Okay, because I had spent one, risked and succeeded, so I didn't have another one to get. But that is twice that I have successfully shot him in the heart. Once, both with risked willpowers, I believe.
And
But
what,
that one exceptional.
yes, speaking of that, what is the bonus for shooting him in the heart? I know there's a
I don't know.
bonus.
If there's no bonus unless there's a specific effect
Okay,
for
not
a
in this
monster
case.
being pierced in the heart.
Yeah.
So if it was a stake, then and this is a regular traditional vampire, that could paralyze him.
Yeah, Rick's thinking on this is the remove and quarter the heart, so he's trying to damage the heart as much as possible with bullets. That's his headline on that.
As these next 2 shots, he staggers backwards, releasing the daughter. However, in that next moment, his body disappears and mist hangs in the air.
Well, Nathan is grabbing his daughter first.
Yeah.
The mist begins to move towards... Nathan would know this because he knows the layout of this house. The restrooms.
Okay.
He's GTFOing.
Nathan, he has 2 priorities right now. One is keep his daughter alive, the other is hunt this thing. One of those has more of a time limit than the other. So he's gonna start checking the wound, seeing what he can do. Hopefully the rest of the team can pick up his slack.
There is 100%. You don't need a medicine roll for this. She's gonna need surgery. There's outside of trying to staunch the wound in some way, there's nothing that basic first aid or basic medicine can do.
Yeah, with a wound that big, I figured as much. Keep pressure on it, put a rag on it, keep pressure on it. That's basically all you can do, right?
With a wound that big, you're gonna try to stop it as much as you can, and we need to go right now.
Right now, yes.
Not waiting for an ambulance. We need to go.
Why would we wait for an ambulance when we have Cecil?
That's basically what he's saying, yeah.
I am the ambulance.
Yeah.
He is the ambulance.
Rick is the last out the door, back to the group, eyes watching the mist. Or for it in case it, but he's backing out back to the group until everybody's in the car but him, and then he'll jump in.
It seems like once the mist has went into the restroom, you obviously can't see what it does in the restroom, but it doesn't follow. So, being the last one into the car, I know where everybody is heading. However, do you guys send an update at this point?
Once we get in, I imagine Rick would update the group. Nathan's daughter hurt. En route to hospital. Capri got away, but injured heavily.
Maybe.
I imagine Vanessa like carrying Nora, running like a madwoman through London. It's like, shit, my phone. What's it saying?
And meanwhile, Nora's trying to read it while she's bouncing and sweating.
Nathan's daughter is in the hospital. Maybe we should go back and make sure that this thing doesn't come back for Elizabeth. Turn it around!
It is actually at this point, because the distance would have been somewhat closed, and you would have had to pass the hospital. You do see a Mercedes just tearing down the sidewalks. Not the same sidewalk you're on.
Thank God.
Oh man, what? I would hate to have been hit by a car by another person in this group.
You're safe. I'm not driving this time.
Yeah.
With that, what's Victor's response to that message?
Can they see me running with Nora on my back?
We're not paying attention. Cecil might be.
Cecil sees, but bye.
Yeah, I suppose if Victor's at a decent spot in his investigation to take a little detour, he'll go and try and regroup with the group and see what on earth has happened.
So, with everybody making a detour to the hospital, we're gonna
I'm probably not going to the hospital. They got that handled.
So where are you
upon
taking
hearing
Nora?
I'm probably gonna go back to Rick's apartment to maybe lay an ambush for this thing if it pops around.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm of the same mind, yeah.
Yeah. I could turn around and run up the other direction there.
So
It's just funny, like I almost fall off as she turns around. Just like, you're like, ah!
So, Vanessa and Nora, do you set any traps while there? Because it's going to be a couple of hours before you hear anything else, I'm sure.
I'll probably have Elizabeth hide somewhere. I don't know about you, but I'm terrible with traps. If only we had Victor here, who's actually pretty good at that thing. Yeah. Do you have any ideas?
I don't think I'm really good with traps, but
Maybe try to set up a shot with a camera or something.
You know that there's a panic room, and you also
Yes.
have infrared camera equipment.
yeah. So I feel like that's the least we could do is like put Elizabeth in the panic room and like get the infrared goggles and stuff. And I'm assuming there is a nail gun somewhere. Just like, because wasn't Rick tinkering with it?
We hadn't got a chance to start on that. Like, we finished Monster Lore, and
Yeah.
then this almost
Okay.
immediately happened. So I haven't
Oh.
started.
Not the like super duper master blaster like nail gun, just a regular nail gun.
I wouldn't have had a chance because like we learned about this, like ate a sandwich and got the call.
Do you have like a?
I have a stun bolt, which is pretty much like it's like a handheld, like pneumatics, like piercing device that we could probably load up with a nail or something.
There's some nice weaponry in the panic room, but nothing like a nail gun.
Do you have just a hammer and nails? I feel like Nora would be holding like a handful of nails and a hammer, like just like.
I mean, honestly, like the door just got replaced and the window just got like repaired, and all my cameras got swapped out for some with infra and thermal. So there's probably like where some workers have come in and out. There's probably some tools laying around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I doubt all of that would have been repaired in a day.
No.
Take a little bit.
No, and we're on like day 3 or 4, so I've probably got a couple of contractors coming in and out that might leave tools on site.
All right, cool. So we like hide like a hammer and some nails like lying around the apartment, so some quick access for when we deal this thing. My idea is I like sit like when I like my back to the door of like whatever to this apartment, so like pretending to be Elizabeth, and then it tries to jump on me, and then I reverse the situation on it.
Wow, I love it. Back to the original plan.
Yes.
Hell
Like obviously this was a solid distraction by it, right?
I dig it. And I'll try and set up like cameras of my own around, because if Rick's cameras catch this thing, it won't count for me as getting a cool photo of this thing. So I'll set up some like cameras with like my whatever Bluetooth shutter, and then just hang out with Elizabeth and make sure she's like fed and watered.
No, dog.
Be great.
As we slowly begin to think that maybe the group is probably going to keep the stray, let us move to a couple of hours later in the hospital. Obviously, when you bust in through the emergency room, she is quickly moved directly to surgery. There isn't any of this waiting around in the waiting room. However, you are all told to stay in the waiting room because obviously the police are going to be on their way and would like to speak with you regarding this. For obvious reasons, this seems like a very strange case. This is also Victor. I will also say you will have arrived, not necessarily at the same time or even around the same time, but within the hours that they are going to be there, you definitely arrived.
Cecil might slip out of, the waiting area and go park his damaged G-Class where the cops aren't gonna see it as soon as they roll up.
It is realistic to believe that you didn't necessarily go in with Nathan and Rick.
True.
To move the car, so I don't think you would need to sneak off.
Fair, thank you.
I imagine you probably have you have your own space. You probably have access to the parking deck at the penthouse too, or the underground parking.
He might go to his own place and like park the car out of sight and come back in the BMW instead.
With that said, this is after the routine round of questioning of the cops. It's your standard, how did this happen? What story do you give them, Nathan and Rick?
I'm leaning toward wild animal.
Or, obviously.
Yeah. This is kind of Rick's wheelhouse with the talky talk. So he'll
Florida man.
Yeah, like he'll lean on the wild animal thing and reference some of the stuff that we learned about with the bear attack from the werebear, and he'll feed some of those same details back in to make it a little bit more believable and give them a point of reference on something like it and make it seem a little less strange to them.
While Victor squirms.
Victor, unfortunately, is not here for the conversation with the cops. He does come in right as they're leaving, however.
I imagine Victor finally gets in touch with the rest of the gang and just sees just the chaos that has unfolded since he's left, and just lets out a very long, exasperated sigh.
As soon as you're all out of my sight, everything goes to hell.
Right. I break off on my own to have a nice little chat with a werebear, and everything goes to shit. But
I'm glad to see you've got all your legs together still, Victor.
yes. Well, I suppose we can try and see what we can salvage from this situation.
And I'll kind of fill him in on what's happened in his absence. Kind of do some of that whistling in the dark, talking about everything, not the elephant in the room. Try to help Nathan's focus pull away a little bit, give him something else to think about.
Yeah, Nathan is sitting in a chair, leg going up and down very rapidly, head, chin on his hands, just.
Composure?
Yeah.
Give me a composure check, please.
Still a success.
All right. You're holding it together. Not well,
Just.
but...
For now.
For now.
Need anything, Nathan?
I do, but that's not available right now, because it's still on the run.
We'll get it.
That's what I need. I need it. I need it to suffer. I need it to pay.
It's going to. We put several in it. I mean, it's strong, but we did a lot of damage.
Did we, though? Like, I blew off its arm before and it just grew back. You shot it in the heart twice, and it turned into dust and went away.
It did it, but it did run away.
With a chunk of my daughter in its mouth.
Yeah.
I would have to agree. These, shall we say, guerrilla tactics do not favor us.
No, they don't. We need to get back to what we do. We need pig's blood, and I need a couple of days in my shop.
It was very specific, pig's blood.
July the 31st, slaughter date.
Mm-hmm.
You actually remembered that, man. I didn't.
I'm just gonna hit the group message and just be like, time to hunt. We need the blood.
Vanessa's going to read something different when it refers to that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Need blood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Rick's gonna think about that unless she says something back crazy.
Yeah. I think Vanessa's kind of just like really all in on this whole ambush in Rick's apartment again. She's thinking it's gonna come here, like this is all diversion to distract away from the apartment, and yeah, she's just gonna maybe like I don't know, play with her fingers or something, like while she like waits anxiously on the couch.
With that being said, eventually a nurse does come out. Mr. Crawford. Where's Mr. Crawford?
Right here, yes.
Ah, okay. Right now, I'm just gonna fill you in. I don't have all the information. Obviously, the doctors are in there working. She is in surgery. She's in critical condition. The doctors are doing the best they can. It is going to be several hours. The doctors are speculating 8 to 12 hour surgery, at least. I would recommend that you head home. I know your first instinct is to stay. The reason I'm not recommending that, and this is me as a person, sitting here for 12 hours is gonna drive you insane. I can almost assure you of that.
I'm gonna kind of lean over to Nathan and say, I've got some building to do. Let's go.
There's nothing else for me to do, is there? There's nothing else I can provide.
The nurse slowly shakes her head. No. And of course, we have your number here. We will call you as soon as we have any updates or she makes it out of surgery.
Point of all this money as he walks away.
Though, something that Nathan might consider is that if it can track her to his house, it can track her to the hospital. So the hospital isn't going to be able to defend her against it. So, does he want to go on the offensive or does he feel like he needs to stay on the defensive?
Yeah, that is something he's been going back and forth on. He's done both in the past. Rick's familiar, they've worked together. He's done offensive missions, he's done defensive missions. He prefers the offensive ones.
Where you have the initiative.
Where he has control of the situation. He does not like being out of control, and he is very out of control right now. He essentially has no control. So he's going to head back to Rick's, and on the way there, he's going to make a call to his special allies. Have a group here instead of just one guy.
Affirmative. Be there in 20.
Cecil will take you. He's waiting in a car.
Okay.
Rick's gonna call his pilot, tell him to get to the roof and be on standby to go wherever the hell I am when I call you.
All right.
Because if we're off somewhere 4 or 5 miles outside the city, and Nathan gets a call that his daughter's awake, we're not waiting on traffic. We'll just go over it. Or if something happens and we catch this thing, we're not dragging it through the streets.
Victor?
Yeah, I think Victor is, gonna try and reconvene with everyone and try and see where to go from here.
So it seems like most people are heading back towards Rick's apartment. Which means Vanessa and Nora now have guests.
Oh.
Maybe not the guests that Vanessa was hoping for, though.
Rick's head kind of cocks. It's like, are you in a wig?
What's it look like?
It looks like you're in a wig.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna look at Nora and look back at Vanessa and look at Nora. Like, okay, sure.
We kept busy, okay?
Rick would notice that Vanessa very clearly kind of looks like Elizabeth now.
But that's not fun. It's fun to poke at her.
You want to poke an agitated Vanessa?
By the way, at this point, give me an addiction roll, Vanessa.
What is even that? Resolve, composure, stamina?
It's going to be, we'll do stamina plus composure. Actually makes a lot of sense here. A physical and a
Oh.
mental aspect of it.
A success.
You're keeping it together.
Need that fucking blood.
So, I know Rick is immediately going to dive in on building these souped up nail guns, essentially.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a couple of calls and get some parts flowing in. Send a couple of people shopping. A couple of like M4 carbine style airsoft rifles, and a couple of airsoft pistols, and then a dozen nail guns, small air bottles, all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna give a big shopping list that, if I had not scattered it amongst 3 or 4 people, might have gotten somebody arrested by the authorities for the weird strings of purchases, and have them brought back. And I'm gonna go to work on the workshop and try to create two nail gun rifles and like 3 nail gun pistols.
So, go ahead and give me a crafts roll for the nail guns, because realistically, that stuff isn't all that hard to get a hold of. Not necessarily, at least.
Yeah. Intelligence and crafts.
It is... Actually, I had looked that up earlier today. For
I think it's wits and crafts for
Yes.
physical objects.
Yes, it's wits plus crafts.
Right. Same roll for me, so that's fine. This is really important because this turns an improvised weapon into a specialty weapon for me and Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Would this be a thing where I would spend a willpower, or would this be like a different thing where I could do like a risk, or like how would that work?
This is in direct pursuit of the hunt, so a risk is allowed, I do believe.
Okay, so I'm gonna risk a willpower. I get +2 because of the condition stuff. So that's gonna put me at 8 dice with 9 again.
Okay.
Pretty close.
It rolled 8 again, so for some reason.
You might have to refresh your connection to roll 20.
Yeah.
You do have you did risk a point of willpower, and isn't craft a asset skill for you?
It is. It's a specialty skill,
Okay.
and I actually did not add that specialty dice.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, you might
can
need
roll
to
one more
refresh
d10.
roll 20 and then
Okay, we'll just do it again. That still would have been 3 successes, but I was also short of dice, and it did the weird thing. But let's.
I would also say this is a very good time for this. So, Victor,
That's
it's at this point that your phone rings. Daniel Daston, the inspector.
Oh. I suppose I'll answer then.
Your contact in the police, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or one of them.
Yes.
Victor, I wish I was calling you with better news.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you heard, there was another incident with a bear.
Hmm.
You might
I see.
You might be wondering why I call you with that bit of information. I am not fully aware of your connections, but I know you are connected with the father, Nathan. The police are doing some heavy investigations. Things are going up the chain. I don't have confirmation on this, but MI5 might get involved soon. And if MI5 gets involved, I'm sure I don't need to go any further than that with how rough that is going to be.
I appreciate the warning, Inspector.
And as such, this is the last phone call we will have for a little while. Obviously, I can't risk much more than this phone call here.
Understandable. You've done plenty enough for me already.
Hopefully this blows over and MI gets distracted. But I cannot confirm that. So I will be in contact, just not through any means that's traceable.
Understood.
Take care of yourself and seriously watch whatever it is that you do.
I will certainly try to wrangle things into a bit more cohesive, organized manner. But we'll see.
And with that, the line goes dead. So, 2 successes.
Three total. Those are the second roll was where I added my 3 die from
Okay.
the risking willpower. So it was 1 and then 2, so 3 total.
So, with that, you make pretty decent headway on those. You probably maybe finish one. You do not finish the other. However, I'm pretty sure Victor is going to explain the situation as you hand the first of these nail guns to Nathan.
Cecil,
One of the
while-
rifles would be first for Nathan for sure.
while all of that's going on, Cecil would have left to go clean up Nathan's house because y'all, we left some brass there, and there's also some blood splash and stuff that went on inside that house. And don't know about you, Nathan, but need to go collect some things. And then, depending on how long that takes, Cecil might start, like if he still has time, he's going to start looking for July 31st pig's blood from butcher shops. So making phone calls and making trips.
Okay. So for the pig's blood, I am going to require a roll for that because that is a very specific thing. However,
Oh yeah.
cleaning up that type of stuff is not a 5-minute job.
No.
And the cops were already on their way. I would think the way you drive,
Would Nathan and Rick have told them that the bear attack happened at Nathan's house?
No.
So
okay, never mind then.
But there were firearms shot off of your presence in your residence. There.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of
That
those
tends
was
to
probably
attract-
silenced. I don't know about the other one.
Yeah, my
Attract-
shots were silenced on a 22 cal, so they were loud, but they weren't like gun loud for most people.
Would it have been any screaming?
There was
Hell
screaming.
yes.
There's still very likely going to be cops, and I can tell by the look on Rook's face he doesn't think that his gun was silenced.
Oops. No.
Hulu
no, it's
about
not.
the silencer. Bang bang, right?
So, realistically, there would still probably be cops. It would be a lot lighter of a presence, though.
I was gonna say, like, they might respond to the area,
Yeah.
but they might not know from
Which house.
which place it came from, and even if they did, they knock on the door.
And the front door is kind of shielded by the now Canon sunscreened porch thing too.
Yes. However, they would still be able to
Um,
see that the front door was kicked down from the porch. Which obviously is suspicious. But I will say that you have time to at least get started on cleaning, at least getting the more important stuff out of the way. And hidden
Casings.
Right on.
before the cops arrive.
Sounds good. Gonna do his best.
And get out of there. So, to find the pig's blood, I was thinking intelligence. I am feeling like this is occult oriented because of the specificness of it, and that it's linked to a saint's holiday.
Fair enough. And because of the the conditions, he gets 2 dice to this.
Yes? Everybody and their conditions.
It's all your fault. 2 successes.
As you begin to investigate, it is somewhat unlikely, but it still happens. One of the contacts that you happen to know of in the Abbey itself actually has some pig's blood that he admits to you. He knows it was slaughtered around that time, but he can't give you a for definite. It's not like he recorded it. He does own several farms, which is probably where he comes across this blood. He does keep the blood for other reasons. He lets you know it's bait, usually.
Fair. Okay. It's better than not having a maybe is better than a no. So this will be gracious and, thank him for it. And what do you need in exchange?
That was exactly where I was getting at. So, as you make your way outside of London to one of his farms, he greets you in a very cordial manner. He takes you out back to his slaughterhouse, and he presents you with what looks to be roughly about a pint of blood. He is a older gentleman, probably in his 50s, maybe 60s. Heavy set, missing his entire right arm, which he has replaced with something that looks cybernetic, but, is mostly for show. And as he, he's general idle chit-chat. What you would expect in polite company. However, once he gets you into the slaughterhouse, he goes, "All right, so the deal is I'll give you that, but I do need something in return. What I need in return is I've been looking for somebody. This person was a dear friend of mine. And I hate bringing up old campy B movies, but it's almost like a pod person took him over. Completely changed his personality. I need you to find out, one, who's wearing the skin of my friend. And if there's a way to do it, remove him. One moment, everybody. I do apologize. I have to take care of this.
This is a big favor for a pint of blood that's just been hanging around in his storage area.
So is this like little girl with blue man stalker legitimate, or is this like crazy farmer who's alone looking for a friend in the mirror making stuff up.
Who knows?
That's what you thought about the girl?
So within the
Stop
next
it, crazy.
moment, he produces a tablet. Pretty old model, honestly. Contains images, videos, and a dossier. All pretty... something you would almost expect to receive from Rick. And it's that level of detail.
Okay. So Cecil would like idly flip through the information, like just kind of skimming. And so he'd look up at this guy and he'd be like, "So you want me to figure out what's wrong with your friend and or kill him?"
I don't want my friend killed. I want whatever's taking him over killed.
Very well. That's quite the big favor to figure out what's gone wrong with your friend and handle it.
I mean, it's just a lot of digging through minutia and trying to figure out what it is, but I don't think it's that hard, especially when I'm giving you a very specifically dated blood. Like, what could you ever use blood from a peg from around that date for?
I'm sure you understand that very specific critters have very specific weaknesses.
I do.
That's we're putting the screws to something that deserves it.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that.
I will certainly look into this for you. See what I can figure out, what I can do.
And with that, the drive back into the city. Rick, go ahead and make me your second roll on creating more of these weapons. While he's doing that, what are the other four doing?
How long have I been sitting on this couch for?
Several hours at this point. Enough to be exceedingly irritated.
Yeah. I didn't think Vanessa's gonna stick around.
I mean,
Yeah.
Vanessa knows where this thing likes to hide.
Yeah. How's Rick looking on making those specialty devices?
The willpower risk is only for the first roll, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So two successes on this one. So we're up to 5.
I would say that's enough headway for you to have finished the project for the group at this point. This wasn't something that was meant to be exceedingly taxing, so 5 successes is good enough.
Imagine once I got the first one like done and good, that gave me really good. It was replication after that.
Yeah, mostly.
So Nathan will have a rifle. If anybody else would like a small compact like M4 carbine style rifle with like 50 nails in it. If anybody else is decent with a rifle, there's a second one, and then Rick takes a pistol and has 2 other pistols. So there's a rifle and 2 pistols that are free.
Cecil doesn't personally care about which model, so whatever's left over is fine with him.
I'll go without.
Well, I assume you had already left before you finished.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
I imagine you come in and like it's upstairs and kind of past his bedroom, where who knows what these two rooms used to be. But the like the hardwood floor has been replaced with like don't know sure what the subfloor is, but then everything else is just like a sheet of concrete. It's just one big concrete slab across all of it, and there's benches all the way around. The outsides, a couple of chairs, lights, lots of weird gadgets, and a ton of like machine shop tools and toolbox stuff. There's some weird alchemical stuff here and there. Like it's kind of poke your head in and you'd see like a dozen nail guns and a bunch of other stuff, just all like the parts just scattered, slowly coming together.
What about Victor and Nora? Would they be taking any of the prepared weaponry?
Negative. I have a more different weapon for a more civilized age.
Sorry. And no, I won't. Because I'm more interested in taking a photo of it than slaying it. Like, I don't care what happens to it. I am one of the two people not obsessed with killing it at this point.
Well, so the nails aren't for killing it. It's just to paralyze it.
Paralyzing, yeah.
I'm not obsessed with it. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't understand. I understand Vanessa's thing, because, you know. But everybody else is like, can't we just...
You tried to eat Nathan's daughter.
I think you'd understand that one too.
Well, that I understand, but I don't understand the other two.
Violated the sanctity and privacy of my home while protecting an underage innocent.
I guess. Am I a sociopath?
I guess.
I'd be worried if you weren't a sociopath in this game.
It's fine. I'm fine. I just want to take photos of it.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, let's go fucking the sewers and find this thing.
Nathan will have a rifle and a pistol. Toss Cecil the other rifle, and then I'll take 2 pistols.
By the time you have picked up the 2 pistols, as you look about the room, Vanessa's gone.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey Nora, where'd Vanessa go?
I look up from like playing Animal Crossing on Switch. I'm like, she just left.
Hashtag sponsored.
It's like, it kind of looks at the thing in his hand that is meant to paralyze this creature, and looks at the door. It's like, well, I'm sure we'll get a call from the hospital soon enough. And I'll text the group and be like, Vanessa? Question mark.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm getting this thing. Tag along if you want. I'm going. I can't wait any longer.
And
To where?
And somehow,
The sewers.
yeah, somehow all of you, as soon as you see that text message, you hear the sound of the manhole cover just collapse down. Obviously not really, but in your head you can hear it.
Where's Cecil at with the, like, in this timeline of things? Like, as I finish the project, I walk out, I text, Vanessa says she's dropping in the sewers, or she's headed to get it. Where's Cecil?
Cecil would have arrived back. It's not quite that long of a drive, but, you know.
We have a couple of vials of Elizabeth's blood stored in the panic room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, well, I think we have to go keep Vanessa from kamikazing herself into a fluid-sucking Capri Sun vampire. I'm gonna go get the blood.
So,
And I'll go, and I'm gonna make sure that Elizabeth is in the panic room and locks herself in while we're gone. And I'll get the vials of blood for that. Have the weapons handed out. I imagine the pistols probably have 10 or 15 nails in them, and the rifle probably has double that.
I'm okay with that. This is all going to take some time. Enough time for Vanessa to get down and make her way into the sewers.
Yeah.
As your feet make the slushing sound as you hit the bottom. And do you even pull the manhole cover back over, or you just...
I'm probably a bit too busy right now. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Leave that to somebody else. Yeah.
Go ahead and make me a... This is definitely going to be wits streetwise.
Oh, streetwise. Okay.
You are moving through the underside of the streets.
Oh, I have an extra 2 dice on this because of my vendetta. Yeah, I'll just roll that real quick. I could get an exceptional on that. Exceptional.
Inspired. Finding your way through the sewers.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this thing.
Maybe navigation?
Yeah, sewer navigation.
I feel like it's more like instinct at this point.
So, with that, an exceptional success. As you begin to move, you can't smell blood, or at least not the same way the creatures that you prefer to hunt do. But you do hear somewhat of a calling to you. And that echo in your head right now is what is guiding you through the sewers. You eventually come to a cistern. Don't worry, everybody else isn't too far behind you. You can, in the back of your, at the edge of your hearing, you can hear, slushing behind you of 5 other pairs of legs. But they don't matter to you.
Yeah.
What matters to
Focused in
you
on-
is the cistern. What you would expect to be, obviously, just a point where all the water is being directed and moving throughout the city. This area almost seems like it's set up to be a home. Ratty couch. It even looks like it has some sort of battery-operated TV sitting on like a nightstand of some sort. However, none of that matters. As the voice in your head just tells you to wait.
Alright. I'll hide, wait. I'm gonna wait for this thing to come home, and then I'm gonna fucking pounce on it.
The rest of you, not so obsessed with a addiction here,
Well,
you're at least able to notice that it is nighttime. As you guys immediately find the manhole cover. Completely open. I'm assuming you guys seal it. Yes. And make your way into the same cistern about 4 to 5 minutes after Vanessa does.
night vision. Or thermal, one of the two.
Thermal. I need a decision here, and I know you're gonna say thermal now.
Well, because you exclaimed.
Well,
Yes.
we've got like Cecil has the 2 monoculars, one of each, that I gave him. So he has those 2. I imagine. I don't know what Rick would have grabbed. Like we're going into the pitch black, but we're also tracking a thing that we need thermal for. So
What? Could they be on the same headset? Yeah, I could flip a switch night vision, flip a switch thermal.
I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Okay, fair enough.
I've never heard of a switch back and forth
They're
between them.
typically different devices.
Okay.
They're very different technologies.
Yeah.
remember that it adjusts to the temperature as it goes. So unless it's like coming in, that's why we could see it in Rick's apartment, is because it was cold and it wasn't adjusting to the temperature of his apartment fast enough. But it would adjust if it's been in the sewers for a while, and thermal would not help.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Nathan will have night vision goggles and maybe thermal scope. He can pull off the goggles and scope. Might work.
Okay. As you all enter into the cistern, you see Vanessa taking position to hide and get ready for an ambush. Is everybody else going to follow suit?
Yeah, I feel like we're doing a lure tactic here. This feels like lure.
Using Elizabeth's blood would definitely be a lure.
Yeah, I specific. Yeah, I mean that was kind of the intent when Nathan drew it, and why I grabbed it. So, yeah.
So, who's going to lead it?
I guess. Primary wits and composure. I'm a 5 dice pool on that. Plus 2,
I'm
so
6.
7. So 7. With
6
7
plus 2.
So 8.
Yeah.
Would you get a specialty on yours because specifically vampire to make it?
It says that requirements occult 2.
Occult 2. Yep.
Oh, I can't do it then.
Yeah.
Cecil has a 6 dice pool for wits and composure and has the occult 2.
They have
Victor?
a 7 dice pool and occult 2.
You have how much?
7 dice plus.
Do you have vendetta against this?
I do not have vendetta.
Oh, yeah. So technically, Cecil would have 8 dice.
Yeah, I have it.
So I'll. We've got a couple of vials of blood, so I'll hand one to each of them, I guess, and so that they can do what they do with it.
And it actually does state.
Any actor occult too.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, so any actor occult 2 interpretation, I'm gonna say that just means one of you guys needs +2 rather than everybody to participate who participates.
Yeah, that reads like someone needs to have it to use the thing. And actually, Vanessa knows vampires, but she's in a manic state, so I don't think I trust her. So I'm gonna hand Elizabeth's blood to Cecil.
Though, should we? So, there's a person being used as bait in here, using either presence or presence plus subterfuge or presence plus persuasion, and so I kind of feel like if we have Vanessa here with some of Elizabeth's blood on her as the bait person, how's your presence pools there, Vanessa?
I got 2 subterfuge and 2 presence. So not exactly great. I'm liking my manipulation plus occult pool better, which would be drawing in the target.
If I were to lead it with using Vanessa as a bait person, I think I'd be on like 8 dice and 8 again. Because persuasion is an asset skill and a specialty.
Well,
Plus I get the +2.
something to keep in mind though is the person doing the presence, persuasion, or subterfuge is the bait in that case.
Oh,
so if something happens, it's coming for you.
Yeah.
I
So
want to be the bait. I want to be.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
okay, so
we could also argue for like a equipment bonus since we prepared for it with the disguise earlier. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
yeah, no, there would be an equipment bonus. I would say +2.
Yay! Good job, Nora.
Cool.
I help.
And
Craft day pays off in the end.
So Grog is going to be the bait.
Yes.
Okay, so
then we need 1 to 2 people as the drawing target in part. And that's manipulation plus occult or manipulation plus streetwise.
Feel like, yeah.
Victor can probably help with drawing it in. Use some of that blood and kind of use his occult knowledge to try and smear it around the place to kind of hopefully bring it in.
And who else is joining?
I see that one of the secondaries is presence and persuasion.
That's the bait.
That's the bait.
Oh, that's the bait. I see that now. Okay.
Yeah.
Or manipulation plus streetwise. I can help with that.
Or dex larceny.
I cannot help with that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I can do Dex larceny.
So you're gonna.
Nathan's got more at stake in this. Let him help instead.
Okay, so Dex larceny for Nathan. So
He broke into my house, but his daughter's in surgery right now, so you know.
What does concealing lure mean?
making sure that, helping to make sure that,
They don't know it's not actually Elizabeth.
yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
that's how I interpret that in this situation.
Okay.
So, everybody ready to go?
This is one of our tactics, yes?
Yes.
It is a
tactic.
favorite. It is a favorite tactic.
So, with this, let us get our secondary actors' roles. So, those that are drawing the target in and those that are concealing the lure.
And the bait.
Can more than one help with the drawing target in, or is it just one on each roll? Because I can help. I could help Victor with that, with the manipulation and streetwise.
We can have up to 2 drawing the target in.
Yep.
Okay, I'll help Victor with that. So like, while he's like more on the occulty side, I'm gonna be more on like the framing and positioning.
But who's leading this?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cecil is. Okay.
Cecil. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So we got 3 for Vanessa.
Yep.
Manipulation, streetwise. No specialties. What do we get for favorite tactic?
8 again.
9 again. Oh, 8 again.
Isn't it? Yeah.
8, yeah, 8.
Oh, it's 8 again.
8 again.
And condition bonuses is 2?
Yes.
Yep. For
If you have Vendetta. Oh, I should have rolled more dice. Yeah.
So that is a total of 15.
I'll
Oh my
roll
goodness.
My last 2 dice.
Good at what we do.
Oh, that's another die. Yeah. Actually, 2 more from me. I got an extra.
So 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hunters get lovely big dice pools.
So, yeah.
Together, a monkey strong.
We did a lot of prep work to specifically prepare for this exact favored tactic.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
and Cecil's, so the modifier is gonna be 19 to account for Cecil's bonus 2 dice from
Yep.
his vendetta.
That's so many.
Wow.
Of course, that is an exceptional success.
Still resisted though. So can you beat 8 successes?
Manages to get out of. Okay.
The bait can't be targeted for a full turn.
Yep.
Ooh,
There's
nice.
our exceptional
what?
success.
Has to get out of the trap or line of fire, then once we can't target.
Versus wits
Aw.
plus composure. Let's do this. Wits plus composure. I doubt I'm getting 8
Could be.
successes.
Wits, composure plus potency.
Oh, plus my. I guess that's. They call it rank here. Okay.
Yeah, it would be that. Gotta make it fair, you know.
Ooh.
Wasn't
It was
bad.
a good try.
That was still good.
And with that,
Was-
we are going to go on our break.
Ooh.
We'll be back in 10 to 15 minutes, guys. And we are back. So, it doesn't take long for everybody to get set up. Vanessa in position. Everybody else drawing attention, doing what needs to be done. I'm assuming while they're doing this, Nora, you're setting up, ready for getting the perfect snapshot.
Yeah, and I have a camera that has infrared film in it too.
So
that
you
I
have,
made sure.
Go ahead.
That I made sure that I had that. And I hope it's like a Polaroid. I don't know if they make infrared film for Polaroid, but let's say they do. And so that I can be just like, take a shot and put it in my pocket and like see if like, oh, there's the thing there, you know? I don't know. But yeah.
Well, a few minutes later, and you pretty much are probably going to drop the infrared camera. It seems like this thing, being at home, doesn't seem to rely on its invisibility. As it slowly makes its way down one of the far tunnels. You guys hear it long before you can see it, though, as it is very dark here, unless you're using night vision, which I believe, Nathan, you were.
Yep.
You're able to see it as it makes its way from one of the adjacent sewer entrances, so to speak, into the cistern. Its head is held high. All gunshot wounds that you had inflicted don't even blemish its flesh anymore. Its head is lifted, and it is smelling the air. Now, for those of you that did not, last time, see what this thing looks like, I will go ahead and put it up on the Roll20 here. Just imagine this thing wearing pants. That's the only difference. Is this...
There it is. He's so pretty.
Now, Nora, since you're kind of out in the open, along with Vanessa, he makes eye contact with both of you first. But obviously is very much more interested in Vanessa. Yeah. Everybody can see the flash going off repeatedly as Nora goes ham.
At least I'm
Go
startled.
for it.
Or
Imagine
blind.
like there's like flash in her hands, like the drone cam is flashing. There's a little Hot Wheels car making noise over in a corner somewhere.
Mhm.
You guys are blinding my night
As
vision.
soon as the first flash goes off, I'm like, I pounce on this thing.
Oh my.
He gets halfway through the word, so, Elizabeth, and then you pounce.
Yeah.
I imagine like Nora gets like a few shots of like Elizabeth mid pounce on this thing.
Yeah, like.
So-
You're going to be able to put together one hell of a stop motion reproduction of this.
So this is going to be strength plus brawl, because you're lunging at it. It, however... No, I am actually going to say he's not going to be expecting what he thinks is a teenage girl to lunge at him. So...
What he doesn't expect is an adult woman.
So...
Yeah, I'm gonna risk willpower on this one.
I picked the wrong moment to try to drink some water.
So
Gonna get him this time.
I'm not going to apply defense here.
Oh, great! I might be able to get this thing.
The element of surprise.
One that. Right. So this is. Yeah, I'm gonna risk willpower again, +3 dice, and 9 again, and I have this as an asset skill, so I get 8 again on this.
A grapple?
Yes, and I have area of expertise on grapple.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Hmm.
Nobody's questioning the area of expertise here.
8
Nice.
successes!
Oh my god.
Wow.
Which lets me grab it and perform a maneuver. And I hold on this thing.
Hold does what?
It can't move.
Immobilize.
Yeah, oh, it's not immobilized yet. That's my next move.
All right. Well, everybody's still acting in the surprise round because, well, Codrin here, bleh, I'll get it out. Codrin was not expecting,
In the headlock.
yeah, pretty much. So,
Nobody expects the Hunter Inquisition.
Cecil's first move is to huck the pint of pig's blood at it to make sure that it is marked, and we will be able to track it if it gets away.
it cannot move, so gets no defense. I'm not even going to make you roll because that would be silly.
And his dice pool is pretty high, too.
And with that, what is everybody else doing? I'm assuming Nora's still, snapping pictures.
Trying to put Rick's on up with his modified nail pistol contraption and is shooting for the forehead.
Okay, so I am gonna need you to make a shot.
We're gonna use willpower.
Okay.
We'll put me at 8 again because firearms is an asset skill. And then the vendetta and the specialty will put me at a dice pool of 7. That's 7, and then ripping willpower, I will do.
Okay, and I'm also, because this is a reaction skill, right? Everybody's like, oh no, he's using a reaction. Wait, reflex. Yeah.
I'll take 3 die bonus and 9 again.
Rather than the damage boost.
Yeah, because I'm just looking to put a nail in the forehead, so I'm more worried about accuracy. So it's gonna be 3, 4, so it'll be +5 modifier 3, yeah, and then I get -3 for the -3 or -2 for the headshot.
-3.
-3.
Okay. So modifier will just be 2. My willpower offsets that, and then oh no, 2 is my vendetta, and then I get special success 3. So 7 die on 8 again. 3 successes.
Okay. I believe for the special stunned condition that comes in play, it's over their stamina. Correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and even with a weapon modifier of 4, that is not enough. So. Okay, so you did a total of 4, technically 4 damage.
Well, looking at the specified target,
It's not stamina, it's size.
size, yeah.
Oh, so it has to be oversight. So it's
Yeah.
total size?
And
If it deals at least as much damage as the target's size.
Okay, it doesn't. Its size is 5. You find your mark. However, its skull seems to be relatively thick.
All right.
And it is at this moment, Victor, I need to know a specific stat of yours.
Sure.
And everybody else here is now currently cringing.
Oh no.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Sorry, my thing was not loading there for a second. And I have completely lost its merits. Sorry, one moment.
Oh no.
I know what merit it's trying to use. Okay. What is your resolve?
3. But if this thing is trying to do anything against me, I'll spend a willpower to add 2 to that.
Okay. So, manipulation plus persuasion. Okay, well, unfortunately, that is a chance die then. You hear
I don't think you rolled anything. Oh, you rolled a 4.
Yeah. Which
Oh,
it
you didn't. I didn't think I actually rolled the chance die.
I'll do. I can do it this way too.
Oh, that's a nat 1. Dramatic fail.
Excellent. So, as a dramatic failure on that, well, I was not expecting this monster to get a dramatic failure. I do apologize, everybody. Hurt Locker, page 74. Here I come, everybody. There is nothing for a dramatic failure.
I think he gets a willpower back or no? No, that's if they would normally earn a beat. Never mind.
So, as a dramatic failure, you still hear the voice. You feel no compulsion to follow what the voice says, which is pretty much get this woman off of me.
I think actually, if with other abilities, if you dramatically fail trying to mentally affect somebody else, they like automatically become immune to all further attempts or something like that.
That is not listed for this merit.
I'm just saying, like in other things,
Right.
Just in case you wanted to throw that at.
However, I don't think. Go ahead.
If can Victor act on this now?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to do the classic maneuver of pretending that I'm under said compulsion, and trying to use that to my advantage. And Victor will kind of walk up to this thing with his sword drawn, and give it a nice swing. But at the last moment, I'll kind of veer that sword towards one of this thing's claws and see if I can't hack one of those arms and at least eliminate one of those threats. And that's what's that? -2 for
Yes.
arm rack?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
No defense.
and I will risk willpower. I guess for +1 and 9 again. Let's see. Strength and weaponry. And +1 for my specialty. Whoop. Oh, actually, so -1 together. The penalty. 3 successes with 3 base damage for the sword. So 6.
You do sever its arm.
Yes!
Oh, wait. Yeah, you do. Sorry. Even with the armor, it's still enough.
1 down.
Okay. So that
For now.
leaves Nathan
Nathan, gonna try and put a nail in its forehead.
and Cecil, obviously.
Cecil threw the jar.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay. Nathan probably hasn't had a lot of time to aim.
No.
Okay, so
This is a
No
surprise
bonus there.
round.
yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be a straight attack. I guess I'll risk willpower for extra damage, right? +1, is that how it works?
You get 2 benefits. You can go increase damage, 9 again, 3 extra dice, exceptional and 3 successes.
I'll do damage and 3 dice. It is still 9 again because that's at skill. And of course it's still not rolling. Okay. Math. 8, 9, 10.
-3 for the called shot, but you get the +2 for the vendetta.
I'm going to roll
a random number of die.
yeah. All right, so 8 is his base pool, +3 for the willpower. It gets negated for a target in the head, so it's still 8, +2 for the vendetta. So it's, it'll be 10.
10 and 9 again,
Yes.
with +1 to damage. Nice.
Did it still not? Oh. God.
Something to keep in mind. Vanessa is engaged in a grapple with that, and shooting into close combat is a -2 penalty.
Not for our master marksman, like myself.
Oh, you have the merit.
Yes.
Nice.
4 successes.
What's the damage bonus on this nail rifle thing?
+1. It's
Yeah,
firing.
okay.
It's firing nails from an air canister. Like.
Okay, so +1, so it'd be +2 with the bonus willpower then, right?
Okay. And that is. Ooh, his armor is literally saving his neck right now.
Or does he have armor?
Yes, he does.
Natural armor, probably.
Yeah.
How much armor does he have?
Who?
Oh, great. Because I get to ignore that, and it gives me a bonus to hurt him. So I use it against him.
I don't think you can use his flesh against him.
Oh. What was the merit I have?
I think that merit is more for like worn armor, vest and stuff like that.
When he grapples an opponent, add their general armor rating to your dice pool.
Okay.
Right.
When I use the damage move, I ignore his armor.
All right. And speaking of that, I believe it's time for our grapple check.
Do we have initiative up?
Nope.
Or
In this situation, because it was a surprise
Okay.
round, we're gonna solve this first.
alrighty. I
This
forgot
is
my vendetta again. Lovely me. I will spend the regular willpower on this. I can't risk anymore. And since I'm obsessed and it's this vendetta, it's 8 again. 9 successes.
ooh.
Dude. My goodness.
Ooh. I believe I will. That gives me 2 maneuvers. I will control my weapon, which is a stun bolt, and I will damage him with it. Which
Don't-
lets me use my. Oh, I forgot my extra 2 dice on that roll anyway. Wait, no. Ignore that, right? Yeah, forget.
Are we going for another head?
Yeah. Which let me look up the stun bolt's damage, which I think is 2 and armor piercing 2.
Well, it doesn't matter. You ignore damage anyways,
Yes.
or ignore
That
armor
uses
anyways.
Armor.
Well, only on a grapple. Yeah, armor piercing 2, stun 2. Oh, and stun. Okay. Yeah. So that will be a grand total of 11 damage to his head with the stun bolt.
Ain't no way he's not size anything like that. He's size 5. This is stunning him, which means
Okay.
that he immediately freezes in your grasp, completely standing upright still.
Yeah, I imagine I got him in a headlock. I whip this thing out and just like fucking put it into his head, and then I just like push him over and I sprawl on top of it like he's like frozen over, and he's like lying back on the ground, probably like petrified or whatever. And I'm like on top of him, and I'm immediately going for his jugular and trying to get that sweet vampire juice out.
Nora, are you still taking pictures at this point?
I feel like I have a camcorder out now at this point. Like
Maybe
in the
one in both
action.
hands, like pitches in one and a camcorder in
Yeah.
one.
I'm like Edward 40 hands, but with my cameras.
Anybody gonna stop her?
No.
While,
Stop her.
while it's helpless is the perfect time to put a nail in its forehead.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna walk
It
over.
already has the nail in its forehead. That was the stun bolt.
You put a nail on the stun bolt.
Yeah, that's what it's used for. It's like mainly like used for like staking things.
Ah.
It's like the hunter specific version of it.
Oh.
It's one of those little stun guns they use when butchering animals that like fires basically like a metal like
A nail.
thing to hit their head and knock them out, but you just replace that with a nail and there you go.
And that's what she did. So this thing's paralyzed.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then.
Vanessa for the win. Real MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power
And then
of
we start
addiction.
doing something very horrible in front of it, in front of everybody.
Nah, you
The
earned
power
it.
of addiction.
You earned it. That's fine.
That you earned it is the. Jeez.
So,
Vanessa's like licking the head wound.
Give me that vampire juice.
So
Does this
I'll-
count? My dice?
I'm like.
Rick will head over
Man.
and like start to kind of like pick the thing up and be like, we can get you an IV. Let's get out of the sewers.
however, before Rick is able to get Vanessa off, Vanessa, go
Yes.
ahead and remove the depraved condition.
It's a beat.
And technically, you're removing the addicted condition, but it's persistent. So,
Easing the effect.
yeah, you're easing the effect.
And I imagine that counts for my vice, so I get a point of willpower back. I imagine.
What is your vice?
Addictive.
Getting a sweet head of that juice.
Yep. I could argue that my virtue courageous came in just like tackling this thing, but I'd rather get the vice.
By the time Rick pulls you off of Hadron,
I just got like blood all over my face, and I'm just like, I stopped like shaking, and I'm just like, she finally seems to have calmed down.
as this thing lays paralyzed on the ground.
You know, it was actually satisfying to watch someone take a bite out of it after it had taken a bite out of somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's drag this thing out of here.
Hold on. I'm not done with it yet.
Well, of course not, but I figured you might want to go somewhere we can see.
Hmm.
I want its heart. I want to know if that ashes and grows back like the rest of him does. If we can hold it in a little box and keep it from him.
I want to make it easier to carry out of here.
Nathan, are you going to grab Victor's sword? Or do you have your own cutting implement here?
Cutting. He does, but he wasn't planning on using a cutting instrument per se. Perhaps some explosive rounds to the shoulders and joints. Just leave him as a torso.
I might advise caution. We've certainly done a number to this thing. I don't know how much more it can take. If we start hacking it to bits, we might inadvertently disintegrate our prize.
You make a fair point. Counterpoint, I deserve a piece out of it. My daughter deserves a piece out of it.
Sounds
I think
like good
Victor,
luck.
I think Victor would gesture towards the severed arm on the floor. Would that suffice? If it's still there, I suppose.
As was described when Nathan did a very similar maneuver, no, it has turned to ash and dust.
There's not much point of collecting a souvenir then.
I just want to take a chunk out of it.
Take the other arm and let's go.
Yeah, so Nathan's gonna walk up.
As far as we know, it's alive until we cut its heart into 4 pieces.
And he's gonna use another rifle and shoot it in the other shoulder, blow its other arm off, while looking at it in the eyes.
Victor's gonna take the moment before to cover his ears.
Gunshot in the sewers. Yep.
Gunshot in the sewers and explosive rounds in the sewers. Anybody that does not cover their ears, unfortunately, I need you to make a stamina check.
I've been in situations like this before. I know to cover my ears.
Probably been around.
Your
this shit
hearing's
for long
already
enough.
gone.
Yeah, it's flat lines and firearms, baby. I'm like 70% out already.
Do I need a
Just-
roll for that, or is it just he's helpless?
Nah, no roll. You don't need
Alright.
a roll. However,
do I
unless
need just stamina.
pure stamina here.
I have tinnitus now.
You have
Ma.
Mop.
you have the condition deaf currently.
Okay.
All right, collect your stuff, Nora. Let's go. Pop.
Ah!
Yeah, all you can probably hear is just dee.
Somebody's gonna have to take me by the
Oh,
shoulders and
nobody-
guide me out.
All right, yeah,
Jeez.
somebody. Victor, will you guide her out? I don't think she doesn't like it when I touch her elbow. It's weird. Oh.
Alright.
I guess me and Nathan can pick this thing up and
Stuff it in a duffel bag or something.
yeah, we'll stuff it into something and
Where exactly is your helicopter set to meet you?
currently it's just in kind of a holding pattern. It's spun up and in the air, probably just kind of hanging out or doing kind of like a slow loop and waiting for us to come up and ping it. Like he's waiting on a GPS pin.
I'm assuming as soon as you get out, you take the side streets. Who wants to lead a teamwork action here for stealthing through the city with literally a body over your shoulders, essentially?
I've got manipulation and my manipulation and streetwise and or subterfuge is 4. I don't know if this still counts for
This-
the vendetta.
No, your vendetta, well, technically it's still alive, so I could allow it. However, what I'm going to say is this isn't talking to people, though. This is getting out, so this is dexterity and stealth. This is 100% dexterity stealth.
Yeah, not me.
Cecil has 6 for that pool.
Nathan has 7, but I don't know if you want to give Nathan that bag. You may not get it back.
Yeah, I imagine Rick's probably carrying the bag, which is why it's not a good idea for him to lead. He needs somebody else to point him where to go before he walks out with a duffel bag body in front of people.
So go ahead. Anybody that wants to assist Cecil, make your rolls now.
Is it the same pool?
Yes.
Okay.
Dex stealth, yeah.
One success for me.
No successes.
Nathan
Wow.
is not interested in stealth right now.
No. No, he's not.
He's got other things on his mind. All right, you have 1 extra die, Cecil.
Oh, wait. Sorry. That was an attack roll. All right. Let's try that again.
Trying to hit me for damage? Stealth me
Yes.
for damage.
Yes. One.
That's a success.
It is a success, but it's a solitarily lonely success.
You're able to make it to a relatively open area. It is a parking lot of a strip mall, essentially, but it is large enough for the helicopter to land here.
I'm gonna say it's 1 a.m. I'll take the back half of a Walmart parking lot.
Walmart's in London? What?
Whatever the equivalent is.
As you get up into the air, the main question enters everybody's mind, except for probably Nathan's. Nathan's mind's already made up. Do you dead drop this so the Abbey can pick it up, or do you keep it for a little bit?
We're going back to the penthouse.
Yeah, I didn't imagine that most of the team wanted to let it go just yet. There's a number of people who... Nora wants pictures, and Rick wants collection of evidence, and Nathan wants...
A lot of
revenge,
exsanguination to get out of the way.
And Vanessa wants a drink or three, and...
I want to get a couple, before we get rid of it, just a few extra baggies of it, you know?
I imagine Victor, has some, kind of in line with Rick, some note-taking, but more on the occult side and less on the science side, some studying and note-taking for the family archives.
Yeah.
So,
Cecil's gonna watch. He's,
You naughty thing!
he doesn't have any of the interests that the rest of you do, but he still has this vendetta against it, so he's gonna be like, yeah.
We get to play with it now. That's the whole point of the Abbey Hunt. Monsters play with them.
all right. So, we know that Cecil's going to watch. Rick. Why don't you give us a little spiel about your time with Podrin here?
Rick's time with Codrin is a lot more clinical than probably Nathan's or Vanessa's would be. Gonna pull it into that room with the concrete.
The workshop.
The workshop, which I imagine also has a couple of small drains that feed into some of the larger plumbing. Gonna clear off one of the tables, gonna lay it out, move some lights and stuff over, get it kind of set up, and he's gonna do some experimentation with, does every little bit that breaks off ash, is there a small enough piece that you can keep? Does it grow back? How fast does it grow back?
Okay.
Lots of little things like that. And then he's also going to he'll probably wait and try to get help, but he's gonna want to, because he doesn't know medical stuff, and he's not so good with a knife. He's gonna want to try to remove its heart at some point.
Okay. It's gonna take time for that, for one. Vanessa? Grabbing blood?
I imagine Vanessa might have a blood drawer kit actually somewhere. She has a dot for medicine, and she's probably prepared somewhat for the eventuality of such a capture, and takes an amount. Ooh.
Give me that roll. Intelligence plus.
Okay. I will spend the willpower on this. 2 successes.
You're able to draw essentially, I'll phrase it like this, 2 hits worth.
Okay. It'll have to last.
Now,
Does any of the blood that spills on the ground turn to ash if it's not caught? What drips down and hits?
the blood does not turn into ash. Anything you do cut off does, though.
Okay.
So specifically, there is something very special about that blood.
And Vanessa's never giving it up.
Well,
With
he's never
that-
gonna let you down.
Victor, since you have a moment or two with this thing.
I imagine Victor's gonna take his time kind of cataloging this thing, do some little bit of anatomical, sketching, take some notes for the archive. He maybe pulls out some, fancy little leather-bound journal, a little fountain, a little quill pen, and starts scribbling away to add to his collection, and maybe take some little samples as well. Maybe a little vial of ash, and well, I would take some blood, but I think someone's already drained that well.
I call dibs.
But if we do end up cutting out the heart, Victor would love to have that in his private collection, like a little ornate, like wooden, like lockbox with some like vampire's heart. It would be a beautiful piece to add to the this little family museum of sorts.
Damn, dude.
After people have had their fun poking it.
And of course, Nora, you're there the entire time.
Of course. I mean, what?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
your hearing does not return for at least a couple of days.
Which is good,
Wow.
because aren't we in Rick's place?
So, with the threat gone, Elizabeth does actually return to the streets.
Free to live a life as a homeless girl.
Elizabeth, go ahead, Cecil.
If Elizabeth wants to just get out onto the streets, Cecil will at the very least give her the contact information for Maya.
She will take it and obviously nods her head and is exceedingly gracious.
Does she want to go back out into the street? Because I know of a very lonely old lady that could use some company, if she wants to stay at my place.
Elizabeth is very much taken aback. Are you sure about this?
I mean, yeah, like, you have nowhere else to go, right?
No, I don't. All my parents, this thing has literally eliminated my entire family.
So, my Nana, she needs help around the house and I can't be there, obviously. And I live in, like, quite a nice, place where it used to be like warehouses in the side of London by the Tower of London, it's like a converted warehouse into a flat thing. So there's probably like more than one bedroom, and you can stay in the guest bedroom for as long as you like until you like get back on your feet, or no rush or anything.
Sure, thank you so much. You guys already did so much for me.
It's not your fault that like your family was targeted by a weird vampire thing. So
Was it?
it was not her fault specific. It was her ancestors' fault, right? So
Rick will just hand her like a small white envelope
of cash.
and tell her to take care of herself. No, it's gonna have 3 business cards in it. Rick's lawyers and a financial advisor, and it's gonna have a debit card to like a black account that probably has a couple $100,000 in it.
Damn. All right.
He won't say anything to the group about what's in it. He'll just hand it to her, and it'll have a note explaining everything, like handwritten, and folded up in it. And he'll just hand it to her and just say, "Good luck. Read that when you go."
I'll give her my address so she can find her way there too.
again, thank you so much. I wish I could do more. And she takes a moment to actually walk up to each and every one of you and hugs you.
I pet her on the head, even though she's probably taller than me.
How long has it been since Chloe went in?
I'm getting to that, don't worry.
Okay, I was just saying, if it has been time, Nathan would not be there for that hug. That's why.
Now, while everybody else has been experimenting, which does take a couple of days at the very least, roughly about 12 hours in, about 12 hours after you bring in this creature, you get the phone call that your daughter's finally out of surgery. She's still in critical condition, but she's stable. She lost a lot of blood.
Is she conscious? Can I be there? Can I go see her?
Pretty much they state no, she is not conscious, and they don't expect her to be conscious for several days. However, she can be visited.
Nathan, we'll go and visit.
What would be faster, car, walk, or the helicopter that still has the driver sitting in it? Because I will land the helicopter on the hospital's helipad, let Nathan jump out, and have it brought back.
Generally speaking, it's always going to be helicopter because London traffic is hell.
Yeah, and we're also we're on the top floor, so I'll just tell Nathan. When Nathan gets the call, I'll just point up. And I'll just point up at the roof and then text the pilot.
Okay.
Say do what he says and come home.
Before you leave, I think we need to have a bit of a conversation.
Will it be a long conversation?
I'll try and keep it brief, but it's relevant to your situation. We have made a bit of a blunder, you might say. There are certain interested parties within the upper echelons of police and the central intelligence services of the UK and of England, and I would be very careful in the future about what information you choose to divulge, as there is an investigation ongoing regarding the attack on your daughter. And I'm afraid this level of scrutiny is a bit beyond my capacity to hand wave. Just try and be more careful in the future.
I thought we were being careful when we blamed it on a animal thing instead of a strigoi. I don't think they would have believed that, but I get your point. We kind of added more to the web than we needed to, I guess.
We didn't know how much they knew at the time.
Regardless, they know now, and that comes with an increased level of scrutiny. So,
is it on us, or is it on just me and my daughter?
I imagine for now it's on you and your daughter and how this connects to the previous attack. But I don't imagine it'll be long before that begins to unravel. And these things get connected to the rest of us.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, at this point, I was going to ask Nora what she thought, but this is 12 hours after the incident. Nora is currently deaf still.
Hey, Wyverian, I shot you a quick question.
We'll discuss that later. Vanessa? Cecil?
Don't look at me. I wasn't the one that fired off a gun.
Cecil's gonna let Nathan go, handle business at the hospital, and he's gonna sit tight, and I don't know. It's almost irrational. Like he wants to keep eyes on this Strigoi, even though he knows that it is helpless and paralyzed at the moment. Like he's still kind of focused on it.
So with that, Nathan is going to take off. I'm assuming a couple of weeks go by as you do your tests, various as they may be.
I may call in like one of my research guys that knows their way around with a scalpel a little better.
Speaking of that, I will go ahead and make a roll here for that particular individual as they very carefully try to remove the heart. I want to see if they are successful, since this is not...
Yeah, somebody from the company, from one of the local UK labs.
So we are going to do intelligence plus medicine.
Womp womp.
Every time they attempt to remove the heart, it seems to resist it. All connective tissue seems to reform, and almost reform stronger than before.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Get as much blood as you can. Send it back home.
Goodness.
Good luck.
I mean, if we're keeping it for weeks, it's going to be regenerating. Vanessa will get plenty. I'm gonna get a few files and ship it back home to some of the better equipped labs to study the blood.
It is.
It's really funny that as soon as you mentioned the blood, Vanessa went.
With that, all of you do receive a letter in the mail from the Abbey, basically stating that the first group, remains nameless in the letters that you're given, has delivered the first target on their list, and basically states that each group has returned in 0 thus far. Which, while it doesn't give you group names or anything, knows that there is somebody that is currently ahead of you in this race. Or competition, I should say.
So, call Cecil up when I read the letter. Be like, I think it might be time for a transport. You down?
You got everything you needed?
Everything I can get.
We should probably deliver it with everybody.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're good.
I'm with you.
We'll round everybody up. One thing that Rick would have worked on over the course of the couple weeks is I think I mentioned it, but some sort of almost like that pinhead thing, almost like a headband that I can attach that comes down and attaches underneath. It's almost like a face cage, but has essentially stun bolt style thing on the forehead, so that if it gets out of control, it can release another bolt, another nail.
Go ahead and give me the wits plus crafts roll.
Wits, crafts. Not that. 8 successes.
Ow.
Jeez.
What are these rolls, man?
I don't know what it is with the rolls tonight, but everybody's just getting exceptional successes all over the place. Inspired condition crafts. Please take that. This thing almost looks like you took more than 12 hours to make it. Heck, some people might actually think it has like inlays on it, but it's not technically inlays, it's actually all function. There's no style to it, it's all function, but it looks like it has style. That function has become its style, almost.
Monument to efficiency.
A good engineer. We solved the problem with this feed mechanism as possible.
Now, getting a hold of everybody is fairly easy, with the exception of Nathan. After a couple of weeks, your daughter has somewhat regained consciousness, even though it's limited. She usually wakes up for a little bit, but she ends up sleeping most of the day, especially with the amount of painkillers she's on.
Yeah. Nathan is back and forth visiting when he can.
They have told you that it is going to be several more surgeries to completely repair everything. Of course, money's not an object for you.
Not even a thought.
However, this amount of surgeries, etc., I am going to say that you don't lose a dot of resources. However, a dot of resources is being occupied by medical procedures at this time. So you are effectively at 4 resources rather than 5 for the time being.
Only the best for my little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Is Nathan American or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like wondering, like, there's a whole NHS system here. Like, why is he paying for medical costs?
Well, we're also yeah, you can take the doctor the hospital gives, or you can send the G6 back home and pick up the best plastic surgeon in the world and fly them back over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the best.
It's not insurance can.
So, with that, you guys arrange a dead drop location for the Abbey to pick up package.
That how it works?
Yeah, would we do a dead drop, or would we
like parade it into?
Yeah, I feel like land the helicopter in the parking lot of where we had the initial meeting, just like Rick arrived, except stepping out with this thing. Like, maybe not visible, maybe like in a box or something, but I feel like I've touched on it a few times this session, but my vice is arrogance. And to not address that in the delivery of a thing that broke into my own home feels like a missed opportunity.
Fair enough. As much as Victor is obviously ashamed of this bit of parading, I'm assuming Rick's not gonna listen.
Yeah.
You parade this thing through the front door.
Probably wearing like a dog collar with like a chain down to like handcuffs on it.
Francis, Victor's father, is using the clubhouse at the moment that you decide to drag this thing in. The look on Francis's face is very much the same as Victor's. Just disapproval of this charade. So, dead drop wasn't good enough for you.
Nope. This thing gets special attention.
He takes a cane and taps the box. I'm assuming it's in here as he looks about at the group.
Victor, yeah, I'll flip a couple of switches and like to unlock it and flip the lid open.
Well, we've got like a tactical casket for this thing.
Absolutely. We had 2 weeks. the head cage and yeah. Is it regrowing how fast is it regrowing its limbs while paralyzed?
It's not.
Okay, so anything we cut off isn't coming back. And has it made any attempt that we're aware of to contact any of us mentally during any of this?
No.
Does its eyes at least move in recognition so we know it's not torpor?
Nope.
Okay.
Looks over at you, Victor. I'm assuming you at least handled this with a sense of decorum, unlike the rest of your... And he kind of makes a hand gesture at the others.
Attempts were certainly made.
The word attempts there does not bring me hope, unfortunately.
We hope when you have a vampire. A very special one.
I will get a hold of Strauss. You should probably hear from him within the next couple of days.
And I guess we can fill them in on its background and
Like, did we write a book on it?
yeah, I'm sure Victor did.
Alexander also takes a step up and very much just takes out a rather large knife and proceeds to cut at this creature a little bit, filling a small vial full of any blood that comes out.
It's probably not much.
It hasn't had much to eat since.
No.
He spins it around in the vial. It is very, very small. Just enough for Vanessa to be annoyed.
Fine. You know how hard I worked for that.
And he tosses it back. Swishes it around in his mouth. Delightful. Delightful. I wish there was more. And he kind of looks through the group. Couldn't have brought it back with more? We could have had a tasting party.
We did have a tasting party.
But you didn't invite us? And he immediately looks at Victor.
Also, I'd be like, I'd have flown you in for it, but y'all seem to not like my helicopter very much.
Immediately looks at Victor. What? Come on. Your friends don't know how to invite others over for a party?
My apologies. He was, capturing him involved perhaps more blood loss than we, anticipated.
And great personal sacrifice.
We managed to salvage what we could.
Sacrifice, smacrifice. We all give stuff for the glory that we have.
Down a little bit.
Said what?
So Rick's just kind of like looking up and down. It's kind of the meh.
He shakes his head. Sometimes the adrenaline rush is lost on the youth. He kind of straightens his tie a little bit. Anyways, I'm sure Strauss will get a hold of you within due time. In the meantime, I would suggest laying low. I've heard that there's federal agents about.
Ugh.
They tend to be expensive to buy off, if they even are willing to be bought off. Do you guys have an idea of what you're going after next? I will have to admit the blue skin is interesting.
You should hear the way he speaks to you. I wouldn't advise on the nail out though. It's got a way with spaces. We'll fill the browse in.
I imagine Victor kind of would transfer a little dossier as well, detailing the escapades of this hunt and any relevant information that we've uncovered regarding this creature.
They nod. And with that, it's not even 2 days before you receive a letter from Strauss. It is not like the letter that you received for the other one. Obviously, you can tell by looking at it, this one was directed specifically at you rather than random groups of people. It states, "My dear friends and fellow members of the club, we would like to thank you for this donation. In a fortnight, we will be hosting a special event. Our friend is recovering nicely. He will not be in top shape for the end. However, that is to be expected. A number was done on him. Now, I realize a few of you have had personal issues with this particular creature. Do not worry on his recovery. His recovery is only to serve a purpose. And that purpose is for us to have a good old-fashioned fox hunt. Now, again, do not worry. The proper precautions have been made. He still wears the headband that Rick so graciously provided, with a few modifications for remote detonation. That word is in quotations. Also, using your research, he will be slathered in pig's blood, slain on the 31st. Not only that, his ability to heal has restored somewhat. And we were able to seal him with enough C4 to level probably a 5-story building. Should make for a very lovely fireworks show at the end of the fox hunt. I would recommend not being close by when you fire your weapon at him. That being said, the donation will be made in your name, so thus it is customary for one of you to lead the hunt. We look forward to the response of who will be leading the hunt. Of course, all are welcome to attend this glorious evening. Take care. I look forward to your next delectable entry.
Hold dibs on that.
Rick, with no other explanation, assuming they'll all eventually read the letter, just says, "Vote Nathan." +1.
Or Vanessa +1.
I don't care if I lead or follow. I'm going on this hunt. And I'm filling that thing full of every kind of lead and steel and brass and high explosive I can fire through a barrel.
Cecil, Victor, Nora.
In the interest of who to lead, Victor is definitely displeased with Vanessa. Not that he's bothered to voice that displeasure, and would certainly cast his vote towards Nathan.
That dude upset you, Tom.
The kill is mine.
Yeah, I vote for Nathan too. Because he has like a personal thing now with it. And not like a tasty personal thing.
Numb.
Cecil's enthusiasm is communicated quite well by his silence on the matter. You all can decide who's leading the hunt or whatever, but you know, he doesn't give any input. He's just quiet.
So with that, everybody has voted, except for Vanessa, who voted for herself.
voted.
Yeah, for herself. Everybody else voted for Nathan, who will actually be attending the fox hunt.
I will be attending, yes.
Participating?
Yeah. Gonna get involved in that crap.
So that depends. It didn't mention anything about having removed the heart, and it didn't mention anything about a way to track it. I don't think I heard.
It mentioned
did it-
being
it did.
slathered in pig's blood.
Well, yeah, that doesn't count for Rick. So Rick's gonna reach out and try to arrange, basically an additional tracking mechanism. If he were to recuse himself from participating in the hunt, basically, something that he can attach to this thing and then use one of his drones to track it and keep an eye on it. But more importantly, the ulterior motive is to, however preliminary or surface, gain some temporary access to a machine, a computer on the Abbey's network somewhere. By under the guise of offering to help make better secure this hunt. If he can't acquire that, then he'll go with and help Nathan on the hunt.
Roll me a... This is definitely going to be manipulation plus persuasion.
I assume with my social engineering, my persuasion, social engineering specialty.
Okay. This is going to be
I am 9 again on persuasion because it is asset skill. I'm gonna risk a willpower. And I'm gonna do gain 3 dice, and
I don't know if this is something you could risk a willpower
Okay.
on. This would be
Okay.
spend a willpower.
okay, I'll spend a willpower, and that just gets me 3 dice, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get all the extra stuff. Okay. Okay, so spending willpower for 3 dice. Specialty is 4. Base pool of 5. And I'm 9 again. So 9 dice and 9 again. Exceptional success.
Excellent. So, inspired condition persuasion. Gonna need to start burning some of those soon.
You have to stop getting exceptional successes to have an opportunity to burn it.
Oh, right. I've got to look up what inspired does too.
Exceptional on 3 rather than 5.
Oh, like if I roll a cool.
Yeah.
And using it counts as resolving it, so that's also a beat.
Nice.
With that, they do allow you to put a tracking thing. However, this does not mean that you're going to get access with a computer. I will need a separate roll for that at a later date.
Okay.
Cecil's participation in the hunt kind of depends on if you decide the vendetta and obsessed conditions have resolved by giving the Strigoi to the Abbey or not.
If you would have had no further update on it, yes. You have further update, you know it's still around.
Then Cecil will be at the hunt. Well, okay. Cecil might actually have to take part. Yeah. He can't let this thing go free. A similar motivation to Rick, I imagine.
Okay. Victor?
I imagine Victor's not entirely pleased by this sequence of events, but I don't think Victor can pass up on the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the other Abbey members, and I think this will more be an opportunity for him to interact with some of the higher ups rather than actually focusing on the hunt itself. More of a social experience than any real investment in the hunt itself. He's confident that the rest of the group has enough murderous intent to deal with that.
And that just leaves us with Nora.
I will attend, but only to document. I will not participate. Like, there's no way I can do anything useful. But I am upset that they're doing this because if it gets out, Elizabeth lives in my house now.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think we're going to take a moment here and turn things over to Nathan as the night begins to set. It's still enough daylight for you to see, but you do have the nice drop back of the setting sun. They cart out a rather large kennel with Codrin in it. And they take what looks to be a very large cattle prod as they open it, and they hit him with it. The sound of dogs barking is already a cacophony of sound. And giving him a 5-minute head start. Take us away, Nathan.
Right. Oh. If I could have a little more setting, are we all on foot or are we on horses, ATVs? What?
Of course, it's horses. It's a fox
Of
hunt.
course. Oh, old school. Okay.
You're in a privately owned woods that the Abbey themselves own. It's a couple of miles outside of London.
Okay. Well, Nathan hasn't ridden a horse in some years, so he's getting his balance. And it's got a 5-minute head start. Does Nathan have a chance to talk to it beforehand? Or does it just go?
They hit it with a pretty powerful cattle prod. It bolts.
Okay, so it's bolting.
Not only do you see it smoking somewhat from the sunlight, the trail it leaves is almost a fluorescent red color. As you look at this, you can tell you'd be able to see this even in the dark. Hell, A blind man could probably see this in the dark.
Okay. Well,
On the bugle.
yes. We've got a nice trail, boys. Let's go hunt us a fox.
Foxes. On the menu.
I should point out at this point that Cecil is not on a horse. Somebody offered Cecil a horse, and Cecil walked away, and Cecil is on foot.
That checks out.
Running.
Wearing athletic gear that looks like it's not expensive, so he might look out of place with all of the very fancily dressed folks.
Okay.
I imagine that the GPS, the tracking that Rick set up, is probably feeding back to Nora, so that she has visual on where it's at and wherever she is, and so that whoever's eyes Rick is under doesn't see Rick doing it because Nora's doing it from somewhere else, can feed that information to Cecil and Nathan as necessary.
I have a drone, likely, following the coordinates that you gave me from like way up above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, being
And I'm
forced to
feeding
use Rick's
information.
technology.
It's my drone.
Oh.
This is not Rick's drone. This is the drone I bought with my own money. No thanks.
That's all for Rick.
All right, so 5 minutes passes. We're all running. The dogs are released to chase it. So we're gonna be chasing it for I don't know how long it takes. I don't think it's as fast as a horse. Nathan doesn't think it's as fast as a horse. So as they chase it, Nathan's getting his information from Nora and Rick. And as soon as he starts to get eyes on it, he's gonna just pop a few shots, warning shots, missing on purpose, just near it, so it knows your time is coming to a close very soon.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I don't know what that was.
As the other hunters behind you begin to hoop and holler.
Nice. So after putting a few shots around it, keeping its I don't think it has adrenaline, but if it had adrenaline, it would be running, keeping its fear up, chasing it a bit more. Nathan's going to start focusing a little more of his shots. He'll start hitting a leg, a foot, just tertiary parts to slow it down just a little, just bit by bit by bit, losing parts here and there. The dogs, about as fast as the horses, so they went out first, so they're probably very close to nipping on its heels by this point.
It turns for a moment, its arm transforms and into a massive claw, and it shreds one of these dogs.
And then, oh no!
Now we're all mad.
So then, seeing that, Nathan's gonna crack the rifle open, put in a couple of incendiaries, and slam it shut and aim for that claw. Blow that thing clean off. Boom! Hopefully it doesn't hit the explosives yet. I don't think it would, but there's always a risk.
It takes a moment as it claws this dog into ribbons. It immediately turns and starts to run again when your shot hits its arm, shredding its arm. You can hear the hoofbeats all around it. You can hear that everybody is encircling it.
Okay, so if the rest of the group is going around encircling it, we can have some more fun with it as it can't escape anymore. So he's gonna direct some of the other hunters, take a few shots at it from other angles, start herding it into a clearing, so it's got nowhere to hide.
You do hear another gunshot go off as you make a quick look, one of the other Abbey members has shot one of the other riders. It's very clear that this thing is doing whatever it can to try and survive, including mind control.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that, boys. He'll get into your mind.
Whoopsie.
If Nathan has the correct angle, if it turns sideways, he wants to put a shot through the side through both eyes.
At this point, I do want to ask, just for Vanessa, Rick, Cecil, Victor, and Nora to step in for a moment. What are they doing during this time?
I did want to tackle it again.
Leaping from the horse?
You wanted to tackle something that's covered in explosives?
Yeah,
I would advise
I feel
not.
like that's a bit stupid, even for Vanessa. I don't know. Maybe she has a gun. She doesn't know how to use a gun, so she just points and shoots. Probably misses. I can roll if you want, but it's not going to be good.
Sure, why not?
Have at it.
2 dice. Here we go. Yeah.
You actually shoot one of the dogs.
Nah.
You're off the team. That's it. Oh, Nora watched it happen too.
Luckily, it's not a killing shot for the
Firearms
dog.
aren't as exhilarating as getting up close to this thing.
Yeah, but that's not what the fox hunt is all about. Fox hunt is all about, looking down on it from above, showing it that it's not top dog around here. It thinks it's the boss. No, it's an animal. It's less than an animal. They say all dogs go to heaven. Look what the dogs are doing. It's not even a dog. It's not even on that level.
I feel like they screamed in the comms, Vanessa, what the fuck?
That was a dog.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Also, don't do that. Go give your gun to someone else. So as we finish encircling it, and it's panicking, trying to both attack dogs and trying to mind control other people around it, it's probably very distracted. So it's probably missing more than it's hitting at this point. Nathan is gonna tell them to start calling the dogs off. It's about time to set off some fireworks.
And with that, a whistle comes out and the dogs bolt in the other direction. Having been trained, they know what to do.
I imagine this confuses the creature. I don't know if it was aware that it's stuffed with high explosives. But it might be confused just long enough to stand there like a deer in the scope. Deer in the headlights, as it were. As Nathan puts shot directly center mass with a incendiary 50.
Jesus.
And that is how this hunt ends. With an explosion. We will see how things pan out the next time we meet. We will not be meeting next week, so we will be seeing everybody on the 9th. In the meantime, Nathan, how are you feeling?
Oh, Nathan is feeling so good right now, immediately at this moment. He is relieved. He's feeling that catharsis of getting his revenge. He's still concerned about his daughter, Chloe's recovery. That's going to take some time. So that's still on his mind, but the immediate threat to her has now been eliminated.
How are you feeling, Poot?
Ooh, I'm doing good. I'm sure my delivery is kind of rough because I'm not used to doing storyteller stuff, so I tried. I know it was my moment in the spotlight. I probably could have done better, but
You did great.
I feel I could have done better.
We all
But I-
have that feeling.
I still had
Every
fun.
time.
Cecil.
In the wake of that, and finally being free of the obsession and the vendetta against this thing, Cecil's probably pretty disgusted with himself for being there and taking part in that. There's and part of that self-disgust is enjoying the fact that something that was so violent and monstrous got some payback, and so happy that it was punished for the murders that it had committed, but also upset at himself for feeling that. He's not in the best places mentally at the moment.
What about you, Rook? I hope your mental position is better than Cecil's.
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. It's kind of wild, I opening up the recaps with our magnificent bastards every time. It's deliberate, and it's pretty fascinating for me to watch all this play out and try to figure out how Cecil's going to feel about it. It's pretty intense sometimes, as we're coming to see. So yeah, I'm doing good.
Nora.
Nora is both happy that this thing is dead and shocked that Vanessa shot a dog. And yeah,
It wasn't me. The GM made me do it.
I would believe you. And I'm excited I'm getting all this footage, if only to keep, not share it in the dark web, but just to keep it and document everything. So I'm excited. I got a lot of good photos this session. So
What about you, Mels? How you doing?
doing good. I'm very hungry, but I'm doing good otherwise.
Those gummy bears just weren't cutting it.
The bag of gummy bears is not enough.
Victor.
Victor is disappointed. He is not entirely sure how he has found himself in this situation with these people, but there's really no backing out now at this point, and there's no direction to go but forward. And I think Victor's kind of realized that he can't let the rest of the group go unsupervised from this point on. I think he was kind of riding high on the werebear thing, only for everything else to just instantly turn to crap, and now he's trying to salvage this situation. And between the ostentatiousness of Rick and the wild card that is Vanessa, he's definitely got his work cut out for him.
How you doing, Genesis?
Yeah, good.
Nothing else to elaborate on?
Just good.
The wheels are desperately trying to turn to try and find an out, and the avenues keep getting smaller and smaller. But we'll see.
Vanessa.
Yeah, the hunt wasn't so much her style. She likes to get a lot more hands-on than riding horse and shooting guns. But the first hunt, getting in that thing's lair, getting in a headlock, and hitting it with a stun bolt. Yeah, she's feeling pretty damn good, especially now that her hands aren't shaking anymore and she can think clearly for the first time in a while.
And how are you feeling, Grog?
Yeah, pretty good. I've been wanting to hunt a vampire since we started this campaign, and yeah.
We got you that vampire.
Got a vampire, yeah.
Rick.
Rick's glad to be done with that thing. There's a lot about Rick's past that Nathan knows that nobody else does. But they've been in some pretty tight situations. But it's the first time anything's ever been in his home. And Rick's a Southern-born American. That whole like step into my home thing, that rocked him a bit. He got 3 conditions for it. But seeing it gone finally was fantastic. And other than that, his wheels are turning on the opportunities in front of him right now. He's we'll find out, later if he was able to be in the Abbey during all this, or if he was having to do it from outside, but kind of depending on that. He's got a lot of gears turning in his head about ways to get more of what we need to know, help Victor out where he's hit some dead ends on some of that, and see if I can pull enough information to either give us what we need or give him the ammunition he needs to go get it.
What about you, James?
Fantastic. It's my first game of Hunter. Actually, any Chronicles of Darkness. So it's been a blast, and like, I don't know what any of the monsters can do, or any of the mechanics, or any of the monster merits. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, which is great because Rick doesn't really either. So there's as somebody who's typically a GM in the systems I really play in, it's really nice to be on a side where I don't know all the meta behind it, and get to just focus on the game. And it's been a lot of fun.
And with that, we will see everybody when we come back.